Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are back online, and it was not very much fun being offline, but here is to the best day ever.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because we try to bring valuable content in every single video, and we're going to talk about what it was like and the things that we missed the most. And I've got an article to cover about, off of Zero Hedge, about Mad Max conditions are coming. Something I've been talking about for a while. You guys know I refer to it as the Thunderdome. It's anything post-2020 goes. Wearing your mask in a car, you know, in an elevator by yourself, on the balcony, you know, that kind of stuff.
Talking about masks and all that, I'm going to talk to you about a biosecurity lab that is being shut down. And everybody kind of knows it as the Plum Island, Area 51. It was in a movie, kind of a cameo. Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you where the new one's coming up. And it's going to be right smack in the middle of the United States. So.
Oh, wow. Isn't that comforting?
Yeah, so you guys, let's talk about the internet for a little bit. So you guys all know we had internet go down. And we've been running off of a hot spot.
A tree fell over. Didn't have anything to do with the track hoe. Nothing like that.
So I told to Chris, I said, I was writing down stuff as we've been going through these last couple days of how the internet actually affects every aspect of your life. You cannot pay bills. You cannot do transfer funds from bank to bank. I literally had to go and drive to my bank, thank God I keep all of our accounts, I keep our information, and drive up there and go, okay, you guys, I don't have internet. Can you swap this funds to this fund? Literally, manually had to go up there and do it. They had to physically pull the money out on paper and then turn around and put it. You couldn't just do an internet swap. The news, you guys, I couldn't even get unless we were on the hotspot. You couldn't get on YouTube. You didn't know what was going on in the world.
Trading, all my trades.
Yep.
I have no idea what's going on. It was just, it's like being in the dark.
It really was. And so
It was kind of nice, actually. A little bit. It was like, wow, I don't have all that stuff to look at. I don't even know what's going on in the world, though. And it turns out, while I was away,
hang on real quick.
Mad Max conditions are coming.
In that book that I keep talking about, the second afterwards, that's what they talked about. They had no communication. So when you have no internet, you have no communications except for your cell phone. That was it. That was the only way we could talk to people. Thank God, I had saved information. I was able to call people. But without an internet, you guys, you couldn't even, so say the internet even goes down at a bank or a grocery store, you cannot even get groceries. That's how much we rely on
Right, and a lot of people
say,
well, you still got your cell phone signal. We only had like 1 or 2 bars out here in the country. So it's, you know, cell phone signal's a little bit sketchy. Losing internet was just a bad deal. But let's move on to some stories.
And then I have a positive story. Actually, I have 2.
And the first one is millions upon millions of people have become more desperate as economic conditions rapidly deteriorate and food costs soar. We've been talking about this. Every video kind of leans towards that. Now it's starting to be noticeable, but I want to kind of put this in perspective after I get through telling you all these things, because I think we're at the very, very tip top of, we're cresting over, and I want to talk to you about what I've been noticing as I've been away from the internet, as I've been able to work and do other things and do a lot of construction work. But food costs are soaring. It is hammering these poor countries. I've been saying for a while, it's going to hurt them bad. I'll link this article in the description. Most Americans are just barely scraping by from month to month. Now, it says people did not have enough food to eat last year, and 900 million are facing severe food insecurity. Sadly, those numbers will go up. This was 2022. In 2023, it's a guarantee, because we have the global rice crisis erupting. We have the collapse of the Black Sea grain deal. Food prices are spiking all over the planet. The poor countries are going to get hit the hardest. The people that are doing with less food, that are already going hungry, some of them will starve to death. And I imagine the mainstream media will not be covering that. 61% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That's just overall. I want to get into some more numbers, but that is nuts.
I think it's actually more than that. I think that's just what people actually that's the poll they did, but I think it's actually more than that. When I talk to different people in the community, and when I go out grocery shopping and I see what they're buying, I see how they're purchasing, I think it's higher than that. But that's my opinion.
Well, this is a new survey from Lending Club Bank. And in July 2023, 61% of consumers live paycheck to paycheck, 2 percentage points higher than 2022. Now, particularly, it's harder for low-income workers. The same survey discovered that a whopping 78% of those that earn less than $50,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck at this point.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that is, $50,000 a year used to be a good job. When I was in school, it was good. It was great. 78% of consumers are earning less than 58%, and 65% of those are earning between $50,000 to $100,000. Now, this is what's incredible. If you're making $100,000, if you're in that class, 44% of people that are making $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. See, it doesn't matter how much money you have to a certain point if you don't know what to do with it. I know there's a lot of doctors and lawyers that live well outside their means. And as this AI comes and they don't need their services quite as much, and they're going to hurt. And even when the economy's dying, they're going to hurt. U.S. households are feeling financial strain. I'll kind of go a little bit faster because there's a few other things I want to hit. Household debt, had no idea, is over $17 trillion. Credit card debt is over $1 trillion.
I think the credit card per household per month is like $7,300. Yep.
Grocery stores, like the food giant market in D.C., this is kind of tying it all together, what's actually happening, will take Tide, Colgate, and Advil products off their shelf due to theft. This is what people do when they don't have enough money to buy the things they need. Who steals Colgate and Advil?
Well, let's talk about Kroger for a second. I told you guys they're reconstructing Kroger. Well, sure enough, they did. I went shopping the other day, and there's a store within a store, and that's some of the items that are in that little area, and you cannot walk out of that area until you have actually purchased them. And it's one little area you can go in and one area you can go out. So, yeah.
And they're calling it a last-ditch effort to avoid a complete shutdown of these stores. They say, quote, "We have no other choice. They've got to stop the theft. This is going to be less goods and services for the people that are doing right." It's always, that kind of stuff punishes everybody.
Yep.
And it goes on to talk about, in the article that'll be in the description, $9,000 worth of goods in California that people just walk out the door with. $5,000 worth of power tools. They just go in and get whatever because the government incentivizes the wrong things. So, don't you punish them. Don't you grab them. They get to take whatever they want, period. This is not going to end well. But on the back of the article, it's countries worldwide are scrambling to secure rice. Rice is a major factor in global food. A partial ban on exports from India. They cut global supplies by almost a fifth. Russia halted agreement to allow Ukraine to export wheat. El Nino, you've always got, that's what's crazy. When you've got these governments doing the wrong thing, sometimes God will step in and you'll have a drought. Just like the Great Chinese Famine that coexisted with Mao's great leap forward. And it was really bad, killed millions of people. I want to say 60 to 80 million. The numbers are hard to come up with. I've heard 40, 60, 80, so somewhere in there, millions and millions of people. But guys, this is some serious Mad Max news. I just wanted to put that on you and let you start thinking about it because it is not that way around here. That is what is the most obvious, crazy thing. Because you get news like this, things are bad, and you kind of think, because when I didn't have internet and all I was doing was working in construction stuff. Mm-hmm. I was making phone calls. People were booked. Yep. My dirt guy can't catch a break. He's got more work than he can do. I mean, he's out here every day trying to get his machines fixed up, and he's hustling as hard as he can go. I'm trying to buy implements for my tractor.
They're way out.
A box blade that's 4 months out. Yep. It's like, okay, everything's crashing, but other things are doing really, really well. Concrete, we're about to pour another slab, is $190 a yard in North Louisiana. It's doubled since we built this shop. So it's like, where's the collapse?
You do sometimes kind of wonder, and I go to the stores and I see people buying and buying, and I see new construction going up and new homes going up and all that kind of stuff. But then I also turn around and, like you said, you see people living paycheck to paycheck, and credit card debt's going up, and they're putting stuff on credit cards where normally they wouldn't do that. The arm loans are going up, what they're purchasing. You've got interest rates going up. So it seems like we're at the tip.
It seems like, and it's like this. It looks, because when something goes way up, it usually comes way back down, and it very well could be worse than the Great Depression.
I hope not.
I hope not too, but it keeps getting worse. The bubble keeps getting bigger.
It does.
People keep getting in more debt.
Well,
people keep doing the things that they used to do when they weren't living to paycheck to paycheck.
So I did it. I read an article the other day of where travel has gone up, because after they did all the restrictions, and they shut us all down, and then they opened it all back up, and people have just gone crazy. They said, as far as travel, spending. Now they said they've come back on some of the discretionary spending. They did say that they've cut back on some of the frivolous things, and they're spending more on necessities. And they're also putting more on credit card. But I got two good stories, you guys. I want to talk about two good stories, and then I also want to tell you about, you guys all have heard about, was it the Plum Island? It's called Area 51. It's where all the all the diseases are tested and all that kind of stuff. What is it? It's been in existence for, was it like 70 years? I forget how long they've been out there. They're closing their doors. Guess where they're headed to next? Manhattan, Kansas. So if you're anywhere close to Manhattan, Kansas, guess what? You're about to have a biosecurity lab that is going to be opened. It's going to be billions of dollars. They said it's a small town, about 50,000 people. It's going to be right in the heartland of the United States. And there you go. So anybody close to Manhattan, Kansas, heads up. You're about to have a biosecurity lab that's going to be built there, and they're closing this one down. I think it was Silence of the Lambs. I was about to say Silence of the Lamb. But anyway, I'll link that on Twitter. You guys check it out. But that lab is closing. Manhattan, Kansas. You're getting a new one. Two good stories I want to talk about really quick. One of them is a subscriber, and one of them is a friend of mine. So we're always saying, hey, you guys, how do you make it in this environment? And Lori, I'm just going to give you a shout out. She's a subscriber. I'm going to give her website. I'm also going to put it in the community page, so you guys check her out. She is a subscriber, and she is a single mom, and she lost her husband, and she was wondering how she was going to be able to get by. I remember when she called me back, I think it was in March when I first talked to her, and she was trying to figure out how to do it. She said, my husband always took care of things. So she got on his phone, found out who he was following on YouTube, and one of it was us. And she said, but I think it was some of your ideas too that she also stumbled across. She started trying to figure out a side hustle. She actually freeze dry. She went and bought a freeze dryer. She was watching it. She goes, I think I can do that, and I can sell these items. She got a freeze dryer, started freeze drying candy. She was doing all kind of things, fruits, all this kind of stuff. And she goes to these arts and crafts events and all these different events, and she started selling them. She said it sold like crazy. She went and got the agriculture company to come out and say what she needed to set up in her home to make it where it was okay, approved. She started a business. She has a commercial kitchens license now. She has 17 different varieties that she freeze dries. She's actually gone to stores, and she's going to put her products in stores, you guys. I'm going to link her. It's called REEREES Crunchies.com, ReeReeCrunchies.com. And she actually has a website, and you can order online. You guys, I'm going to put this, I'll put a link it. But I'm so proud of you, Lori. She said she's making a profit now. She's taking care of her kids. And so.
That's really cool. And you never know. Make sure you get an LLC. And
she did.
Okay. And you're able to write off.
She did. She listened to all the stuff we said.
You're able to write off all that stuff.
Yep. All her travel, she said, every time she drives.
It's so important, guys. I talked to a guy yesterday, came out to actually fix the internet. And he was an entrepreneur. He had a 9-to-5, but he also did side hustles. And I just wanted to really encourage him. After he left, we were working and doing things. After he left, I thought, man, I should have talked to him about LLC, because he could immediately start writing those things off. Because that is such a big deal to be able to write off your life. You're going to have to if you're going to make it, because taxes will get worse. That is one thing that's for sure.
Second story. One more good story. So this is a personal friend of mine, and I've watched her throughout the years. She started out, she actually cuts my hair, And that's how I met her. And I helped her through real estate, sell a house and buy a house. She bought their very first house, her and her husband. And over the years, I have watched her grow. Instead of just still cutting hair every single day, she took a step forward and taught. She went to all these classes, learned all these different products, learned all these different techniques, invested in the business. And now I think she's a third. There's 3 partners, I believe. And she actually owns a part of the business now. And I'm so proud of her. I mean, she took that initiative. She actually did something instead of just the everyday average. So Aubrey, I'm proud of you. I think it's awesome.
Taking action,
Yes.
guys. That is so important. Going back to the internet guy, he said, I reminded him of a friend he had in a way, but not really, because his friend doesn't take action. He's got all these good ideas, but he never, takes that action to do it. The action part, when it comes to prepping, when it comes to all that stuff, you have to do it. And it is so hard for me to do. I've been needing a fish feeder since I built my pond, and I can't seem to make myself buy a $1,200 fish feeder. It's just because I want a good one. I don't have to mess with it. It'll be there a long time, but that action is hard for me, especially when it comes to money.
It takes money. So, for example, these 2 ladies that I just talked about, both of them had to put money out to get money back. It took her buying a freeze dryer. It took her going to training. It took paying money for classes, investing in the company. It took money buying a purchase and making an LLC. So it takes money to actually.
Takes work, too.
It takes work and research. And so anyway, I'm proud of these 2. I thought it was awesome. So we're always saying, hey, this is happening, but I thought I would share 2 good stories.
Absolutely, and we plan on coming on and do a live stream this evening because I'm not doing one Saturday. I'm going to take my Saturday and keep it. I'm going to keep the Sabbath, and I'm not doing any work. I'm going to shut down Friday evening. I'm not doing anything else until Saturday at sundown. So that is something I'm going to really try to work towards, because I'm telling you, my body needs a break. My body hurts. Things have not been going well. It is all falling apart lately.
We've had some
so
rough days.
I'm gonna try to regroup, because I don't, I get my lessons good and hard, and I've learned you gotta stop and give God time that's His, and it's actually for you, So, guys, have an awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later.